Okay. Welcome everyone to the September 9th, 2024 meeting of the Carver School Committee. If everyone could please join us for the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you everyone for joining us this evening. We are going to start off this evening with recognitions.
Yeah, we have a couple of recognitions to start this evening. We're going to start with recognizing our AP Scholars. The AP Scholar Award recognizes high school students who've demonstrated exemplary college-level achievement on their AP exams. The award has 3 levels. First, there is an AP Scholar, a student who's scored 3 or higher on 3 AP exams. There's an AP Scholar with honors. That student has scored a 3 or higher on 4 AP exams and has an overall score average of at least 3.25 on all the exams they've taken. And then finally, there's an AP Scholar with distinction, which is a score of 3 or higher on 5 AP exams, with an overall score average of at least 3.5 on all the exams taken. Just for a little bit of context, the AP exam is scored on between a 1 and a 5. The 3 is considered a qualifying score, and in many colleges they'll accept a 3 for college credit. Not all schools accept a 3. Some schools accept a 4, some schools don't accept any AP exams. It varies, but it does. The AP course at the high school level is supposed to be equivalent to the freshman level course of that subject in college, and that's why many schools do grant college credit for your AP exams. So the students we're going to recognize tonight have all taken multiple AP exams, and then they've done really well on them, scoring 3 or higher or on anywhere from 3, 4, or 5 exams. So if the students could come up when I call their name, that would be greatly appreciated. So first, we can see Finn Doherty was an AP Scholar with honors.
Nice job, Finn.
Leo Lynam was an AP Scholar with distinction. And Emma Robbins was an AP Scholar. Well, we'll have them stand awkwardly. As they stand awkwardly, maybe some other students will come in who are recognized. So I just want to name all the students who did receive the award. Melina Burkapine is an AP Scholar. Chloe Christian is an AP Scholar. Olivia Kordock is an AP Scholar. Ryder Holmes is an AP Scholar. And Sarah Stairs is an AP Scholar with distinction. I do know there were some games today that may have blocked students from being able to attend. As they continue to stand awkwardly, sorry guys, this award also goes to seniors. You know, obviously our seniors, most of them are off at college, so we didn't invite them back to tonight's meeting. But I do want to name our seniors who also received this designation. So Jess Baldwin was an AP Scholar with honors. Nicholas Burkabine was an AP Scholar with honors. Kathleen Blotner was an AP Scholar with honors. Corinne Clarity was an AP Scholar with distinction. Sarah Gould was an AP Scholar. Sarah Langtree was an AP Scholar. Derek Lopes was an AP Scholar. Vera McGrail was an AP Scholar with distinction. And Lucas Mueller was an AP Scholar. So congratulations for all of our students from Carver Middle High School who earned one of those distinctions for outstanding performance on their AP exams. And I don't know if the school committee wants to take a picture with our students who are here. And so congratulations, everybody. Parents, stop.
I know, congratulations. Thank you to those students that could join us. You're more than welcome to stay, but if you like to continue with the rest of your evening, we fully understand. So congratulations to all of those seniors. Hopefully you're all settled into your freshman year in college or entering into your career or whatever your next steps are. Congratulations for all of your hard work.
The next recognition we want to do is we want to take a few moments just to recognize and introduce our new teachers. So Ruby and Christine are here to do that. So Ruby, I don't know if you'd like to go first. I know we only have a couple of our teachers here in the room, but we'll introduce everybody to the school committee with a little bit of a background.
Okay, good evening, everyone.
Welcome.
How's everyone doing? Happy school year. We are back, full swing. Can you hear me okay on Zoom? I wonder.
Zoom saying yes.
Zoom saying yes, great. Okay, so I wanted to tell you a little bit about our hiring process. So typically at the elementary school, when we have a position open, we do work with our teachers to be inclusive and have folks join our hiring committee if they are interested and able to. So we use like a two-prong approach. Sometimes we'll have a first round of interviews and then send 2 to 3 finalists to another group, which could include me and sometimes the special education director. Just depends on who the position, what the position is. So we have had lots of strong candidates that have applied for various positions at the elementary school. And Jess and Naomi are both here. They've both taken lots of turns to help on the hiring committee, so I'm very grateful and thankful to them. And I'm going to go ahead and start with Megan McDavid because she's here in our audience. Thank you for coming, Megan. Megan is our new special education liaison in kindergarten. Megan attended Curry College for her Master's of Education with a major in special education, mild and moderate disabilities. She also has her bachelor's degree from Southern New Hampshire University. She's worked at various schools, including Alden Elementary, as an instructional assistant for several years. And she's also worked as a summer school teacher the past couple of years as it's ESY, they call it extended extended school year. And in that role, she taught as a special education teacher. She's also worked as a long-term substitute.
They can't hear on Zoom.
They can't hear.
They cannot hear you on Zoom.
We
Sorry
didn't get the
interrupt
thumbs
you.
up. That's okay. So I can wait.
I don't know if we're going to have a quick solution. It's the Area 58 connection.
Oh, okay, it's working
We
now.
can.
You got it now?
Okay.
All right,
Yep,
good.
it's working now.
All right,
So
Okay.
good.
my
Back on.
apologies.
Okay, no worries, thank you. So she's also worked as a long-term substitute in grade 5. So now she is with us in kindergarten, and she is off and running, supporting the students in kindergarten and the families and the teachers. So welcome, Megan. Next, I'm going to talk about James Smith. We're call him Jimmy Smith. He unfortunately couldn't be with us tonight, but he holds a bachelor's and a master's degree from Bridgewater State University. He is our K through 2 support for progress and independence teacher. He is working with multiple students who sometimes experience behavioral challenges. He has a great wealth of knowledge, gathering data, writing behavior plans, assisting students with accessing the general ed curriculum. He has experience as a paraprofessional working in Pembroke for several years, and he has joined us at the elementary school and has been very eager and excited since the summer to meet the kids and get started. So welcome, James.
Next, we have Ashley Cutter. She is working with us in grade 5. She was hired very close to the first day of school. We're very fortunate to have Ashley. She has a bachelor's degree as well as a master's degree in elementary education from Merrimack College. She worked for a few years in Rockland, for the Rockland Public Schools in a few positions, just gaining lots of experience in an ESP role. She worked in the library. She also taught SEL classes to elementary age students like during the COVID and after a year or two. She has been a long-term sub on 2 separate occasions and has been really wanting to have her classroom, a classroom of her own. So this is it. She's now with us in 5th grade. She is teaching ELA and history, and she's fully embraced the opportunity to have her own classroom on the inclusion team. So one other interesting and fun fact about Ashley, she's worked with the PTO in Rockland for several years, and she also served on the building committee when she was when they were building their new school. So lots of experience with supporting and representing the families. So we're welcoming Ashley, and we're very fortunate to have her. Just want to take a look to make sure we don't have anyone else.
No one snuck in behind you, Ruby.
Okay. Next is Cara Martina. Cara is a kindergarten teacher with us. She was one of the staff members that we were able to hire a little bit early on because of a retirement that we knew early, so we were able to post early. And when we can do that, that's always nice to do, because one of the things that we can do as a second round interview is have teachers come in and teach the kids, and we observe them in that situation. So we were able to do that with Cara, and she rose to the top, was a wonderful candidate. So she has a bachelor's in education from St. Anselm College. She has a master's in curriculum instruction. She's certified in grades 1 through 6, as well as early childhood. She taught young students in the virtual environment a few years ago, as many of us did, right? And she has lots of experience as a substitute for both short and long-term positions, ranging in the grades K through 5 grades. And she's also been an instructional assistant in Marshfield and Duxbury. And as I mentioned, she's on our kindergarten team. So we're very happy to have Cara. And then last but definitely not least is Devin Morrissey. She is a teacher in 1st grade. She has her bachelor's degree from Bridgewater State University. She is trained and has lots of experience in early childhood education. She's worked as a kindergarten teacher, actually in Halifax for a year, but prior to that, she's worked in Bridgewater at the Four Seasons Creative Learning Center preschool. So I think she even worked there up until the last day in August. So she loves the early childhood. She also works in Marshfield at the South River Elementary School as an ESP. And we're very excited to have her in Carver as our 1st grade teacher, joining the team.
Thank you, Ruby. Thanks for taking the time to introduce all of our new teachers at the elementary school to the community.
You're very welcome. It was actually a lot of fun introducing them.
Megan,
They're a great crew.
Thank you for being here.
Excellent. Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
This time we invite Christine up, who's going to introduce our new staff members
Hello.
at the middle high school.
Welcome.
Hi, welcome back. It's great to be back. So I'm going to start by introducing Ryan Harding, because Ryan is here tonight. So Ryan is our new multilingual teacher working with our ELL students. So Ryan has a Bachelor of Arts with a major in linguistic psychology and Spanish from the University of Connecticut. He also has a Master in Teaching, major in teaching English to speakers of other languages from Bridgewater State University. He spent a year in Italy, fun fact about Ryan, after he graduated from the University of Connecticut. He spent a year in Italy as an English tutor working with English immersion learning camps teaching students by singing English songs, playing games, and leading theater activities solely in English to help those students develop those skills. So he's very talented too. He has worked a total of 8 years in New Bedford Public Schools as in teaching learning specialist to ESL students. So he's very happy to come to the quiet town of Carver to work for New Bedford for 8 years. So welcome, Ryan.
Thank you.
Welcome, Ryan.
Next, I'll tell you a little bit about Eric Baldwin. We hired Eric as a high school math teacher. He's teaching statistics, geometry, and personal finance. Eric has a Bachelor of Science major in math from Bridgewater State University, so he just recently graduated. But while he was in college, he had experience tutoring other college students. He was a math peer assisted leader at Bridgewater State University, where he worked with students in the dual enrollment program. And he served as student teaching at Bridgewater Rainham High School. I also believe Eric grew up in Middleborough, so he's local to Carver. He shared stories during our mentor days talking about his experience with Middleborough Band. And he enjoyed his time this summer. He works at a summer camp as a scout counselor, and he's had that position working with kids for the last 6 summers.
Wow, that's great.
Next is Alex Carrero. And we hired Alex as a physics teacher. She has a Bachelor of Science degree from Bridgewater State University and a Master in Teaching Science from Leslie College. Alex has 5 years of teaching experience in Taunton High School. She taught as a biology teacher. She also has experience as an educational assistant and applied behavior analyst working in a therapeutic classroom. Last year, Alex worked with us. She filled a 1-year long-term sub position for our MET program. And she did an excellent job. She was a great addition to our faculty. As a long-term substitute, she went above and beyond. She attended students' concerts and their sporting events and games. She was out there late at night roller skating around the gym with our seniors. So she's been a great addition to our family, and we're really lucky to have her in a permanent position this year. Next, we have Melissa Cordero, and she's a special education teacher. She's filling the position as a special ed teacher and formerly known as the Delta program. It's now the Pulse SAIL program. We've switched that name. But Melissa has a Bachelor of Arts and a major in psychology from UMass Dartmouth. She's a Master in Teaching from American International College. Melissa has a lot of experience. She has a total of 15 years transition specialist, special education teacher at the Schwartz Center for Children in Dartmouth. She left that position to pursue a job in public school setting. And from there, she went to 2 years at Westport High School. And then she has a total of 10 years teaching experience at Taunton High School, where she filled a very similar role to her position here at Carver Middle High School. She's worked with students grades K through post with severe special needs and helped them to develop life skills. So that's how she spent her career and her experience. Melissa has 2 daughters who attend UMass Amherst. And fun facts about Melissa, during our mentor days, we learned she also was a camp counselor, but she spent her time up at Lake Winnipesaukee in New Hampshire. But it was fun talking with them. Next, we have Sarah Grabowski, and Sarah is our new school psychologist. Sarah has a Bachelor of Arts and a major in psychology from Roger Williams University. She has a Master of Science, major in forensic psychology from American International College. She started her career as a school psychologist at Dartmouth High School. She has served the community of Plymouth for the past 10 years as a school psychologist, and for a period of time, she also served as the special education department chair in Plymouth. Her position in Plymouth was part-time because she also has 2 daughters at home. She has a 12-year-old and a 16-year-old. Her 16-year-old just started driving, so she's had a fun summer with her. But Sarah was very happy. She, at this point in her children's development, she was looking for a full-time job and was really happy to get the job here with us in Carver, and we're really lucky to have her with all of her experience as a school psych.
That's great.
And last, I want to introduce Sarah Oliveri. She's serving as a long-term substitute. She's not a new hire, but we anticipate she's going to be here for all of term 1 for Sue Wally, who's the middle school art teacher who's out on a medical leave right now. But Sarah, like, voluntarily, she's just eager to come work with us. She volunteered her time over the summer to come into the mentor program, where she didn't have to. We included her with our new group. But Sarah's lovely. She has a Bachelor of Arts from the University of Delaware, her postgraduate coursework at Bridgewater State University to earn certification in visual arts for pre-K through grade 8. Sarah has experience in teaching art grades K through 5 in the communities of Weymouth, Dedham, and Freetown. And she also has experience teaching art at Old Colony YMCA with children ages 3 through 14. And she has assured us that while her teaching experiences with grades K through 5, she has a 13-year-old son and a 15-year-old daughter at home, and she told us she is very familiar dealing with the middle school age students. So, and she hasn't let us down. She's jumped right in there, and she's been great working with our middle school students for the first week of school.
Great. That's great.
Awesome. Thank you, Christine.
Thank
and
you very
welcome
much.
to all of our new teachers at the middle high school. Ryan, thanks for being here.
Yes. Welcome, everyone. It's wonderful. Wonderful, wonderful. Okay, so I saw that Tom Pinto is on Zoom. So next we have comments from the EAPC. There he is. Hey, Tom.
We can't hear Tom.
We cannot hear you. You are not muted, though.
I'm not muted.
There you go. There you go.
Well, it's because I turned the volume up. It's gonna
Okay.
so if we speak, there's we feedback. So we'll just listen to Tom.
Listen. What's the way? Some knowledge here. No, first of all, appreciate you fixing it. I didn't get to hear about the AP stalls, but I'm sure it was excellent as always. And I, would also say welcome again and congratulations to our new hires. I think I'd be remiss to say is go Patriots. I couldn't believe they actually got the victory this weekend. I am a big Patriots fan. Hope everyone had a great Labor Day weekend. It was exciting to be able to join you all on opening day. It's not often the schedule works out that way, but I'm glad it did. Also, I always appreciate you guys giving us time to meet with our ESPs to start the school year. I said thank you again. Again, it is a negotiation year, so per contract, I need to be sending over a letter to you, I think before October. So that will be coming over at some point.
Okay.
That's it for me tonight.
Okay, great.
Thanks, Tom.
Thank you for joining us.
Thanks.
Okay, so next that brings us to comments from the general public. I don't think we have anyone in the room that would like to speak, seeing as how everyone is employees of the district that is here with us in person. Let's see, is there anyone on Zoom with us?
There is someone on Zoom.
Okay, so if anyone on Zoom would like to speak during public comment, if you could please type your name into the chat to be recognized, and we will do so. Okay, seeing no name in the chat, we shall move on to the approval of minutes from the August 19, 2020-24 open session minutes.
Okay, I move that we approve the minutes from the August 19, 2024 open session.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Is there any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. Are there any communications?
No communications.
Okay.
We can move right into
So-
reports from the superintendent.
All
Excellent.
right.
So first is our personnel update since our last meeting. We have a few new hires. Ashley Cutter as a teacher in grade 5 at the elementary school. Julie Grosinger is a long-term sub teacher, grade 3 at the elementary school. Kurt Lecce is a 7D driver. Patricia Brennan is a CDL driver. And several drivers on here, so
Yeah.
Ron's happy about
Thrilled.
that. Stephen Branch is a 7D driver, and Kim Ouellette is a 7D driver. Also, Sandra Noonan as a speech and language therapy assistant at the elementary school. We've had one transfer, Roberta Doyle, to a one-on-one pre-K ESP at the elementary school. And we've had one resignation in long-term sub-special education, John Safazi.
Thank you.
So that brings us to our next report from Dr. Erickson. So one of the things that we've been focusing on here in the district is this concept of deeper learning. And Meredith's going to share a little bit about with us the work that's been occurring around increasing relevance and rigor for our students across grades K through 12. Increasing rigor and relevance in the curriculum and instruction increases student engagement and students' ability to engage and critically think and become deeper learners. So Meredith's going to share a little bit about what's been happening in that sphere.
Thank you. So we're going to start off with just kind of our big picture itinerary, and the idea is that I'm going to give you a little bit of background knowledge on what is meant when people talk about deeper learning, and then why it's important, and then really how does it currently live within Carver Public Schools, and what are our next steps. So that's kind of how we're going to frame the night. So taken directly from the DESE website, deeper learning is the ability to understand and address complex elements of a subject or a topic. And then the last part of this is the most important, and that is whether that means in the same class, another discipline, the student's community, or the broader world. So really taking content and being able to apply it to unpredictable real-world situations when they leave the doors of the school at the end of the day or at the end of their 13 years of education. And deeper learning can really be broken down into 3 different areas. So mastery, identity, and creativity. And the idea is with mastery that it's evidence that students have developed knowledge and skills, not only of grade level standards, but also what to do with those. Identity is when we really look at students' unique identities and situations, and we look at their cultural and racial heritages, and we affirm that through the learning. We look at it as an asset and understand that we all have different funds of knowledge to be able to bring to the classroom and to honor that. And then it says, as a result of that, students believe that they have the capacity to be innovators, to be collaborators, to be discriminators of knowledge, and to be change makers. And lastly, creativity is evident when students shift from receiving knowledge to being able to act on it, or to be able to create something. So all of that is tied up in DESE's definition of that. I think the biggest thing for us is recognizing that deeper learning is not new. Sometimes we catch like a buzzword or a phrase in education and we think, oh, this is a new thing, or this is the next best thing. And really deeper learning is helping to kind of codify a lot of the work that's being done already. And I would say is a bigger umbrella term for what a lot of our students are experiencing right now. But the idea behind it is with deeper learning, we get the learning to stick. So it's fun to do this with adults in particular, but to think back to your own education when you were in school and have you try to recall from your file of facts, what was something that was really powerful for you, or a learning experience that was really moving for you, and how did that address like mastery of a content and your own identity and your ability to be creative. So I know I can think of a few things, but it's a fun conversation to have. And sometimes when we launch this, we get teachers talking about, experiences that they had doing a medieval city and being able to build that and talk all about it, or having an opportunity to, create something, an experiment related to science that really, fostered their interest and kind of leveraged what they were already interested in, so those components. The other thing that we talk a lot about is the application model. So if you look at content, and like one side of a continuum would be, I learned this and I'm able to recall it like right here in the moment. But then as you go through the application model, what are you able to do with it in that content area? And then what are you able to do with it across classes and then the real world? So we look at that also. And then the one that I think is is maybe the most exciting, even though all of them are exciting, is the future of work and the recognition that because of artificial intelligence, that they say that what students learn today in a particular field and a particular content, when they go out into the workplace, that within 5 years, 40 to 60% of that needs to be reskilled. That's how quickly things are changing. So are we creating environments where students feel safe learning and creating that experience? Just quoting Dr. Jal Mehta, the idea that it's not just the understanding of the surface features of a subject, but really the opportunity to go deeper, hence the term deeper learning. The other thing, I didn't make a slide for this, but the other thing that I think is interesting is that whole notion of learning versus performing. So with performing, we place the emphasis on like one event, one performance, and having like a correct answer, whether it's the MCAS performance or whether it's your SATs and ACTs. And there are some students that nail that are really, really good at that. I'm going to take the test once and I'm going to do well with it. But that's not really what learning is, right? Learning is more of a process. And when we hear the word learning, what we want people to understand is how rich that process can be. And it's really a cycle of failure and struggle and then gaining new skills and growing from that. So making sure that our classrooms have those opportunities in them, as opposed to looking for, yes, I did this well on a test, or yes, I had my worksheet correct. So deeper learning does already exist. We know from research that has been done out of Harvard that there are great things that happen in every school, but we also know that the scalability of that can be challenging. So they actually did some research. They observed 750 different classrooms for a number of hours in 30 of the highest functioning schools in the country. And what they found was pretty sad. And they said there are some great things happening, but really 89% of the time it's teachers talking. It's not students talking. And that in some cases they would follow a student around and they noticed that there was the opportunity to freely engage and talk about the content less than 15 seconds in a day. So that was from their research that they were able to lift up. But they did say, but there are classrooms in every building that are amazing. And so those classrooms really are able to pull on what is known as the 4 shifts. And the idea is for everybody, as we look at these 4 shifts, that there's an opportunity to assess a lesson and self-assess a lesson and be able to say, hey, how did I build in student agency and an opportunity for students to talk and really process through the information? How was I able to connect this to the real world so that students understand that the work that they're doing can be authentic as opposed to just an act of compliance? And then how is it rigorous? Because if students are invested in it and interested in it, it can be more rigorous, and you can bring it to that next level. And that technology is not used just to like substitute pencil and paper, but it's really used in purposeful ways. And so those are kind of the 4 shifts that we've been looking at. So I do want to showcase some of the amazing things that are happening. A lot of these are not new news to the school committee because you've experienced some of these presentations before, but it's just a reminder that in many cases we're working towards project-based learning, we're designing for real-world relevance. Sorry, I'm going to go through these kind of quickly. Thank you. We're leveraging global and regional place-based opportunities. So we're trying to look at what makes Carver and the South Shore unique and make sure that we give students those opportunities, but that we can also scale it to a global level. So you'll notice in the southwest corner of this particular screen, we have our teachers that took place in a clean energy training back in August, and very full days, but lots of hands-on opportunities as well. And then on the right-hand corner, you'll notice some of our students' civics projects that they have done, which marries research and place-based opportunity. And then tangible skills development, making sure that students are leaving with those industry-rated credentials, and that we learn to express all of that through public presentation, and we have the opportunity to talk about that. And this isn't just, deeper learning is not just a thing for middle school and high school students. It really has the promise of helping students feel more power in their own learning, and that can happen at a very young age. So at the elementary school level, We're definitely working on building thinking classrooms where critical thinking is a part of the currency of how we understand math and computation, and we're empowering students through literacy so that they have the opportunity to have some choice over what they're reading, and it really leverages their interests. Yeah, thank you.
Be back here.
That's it. Ding.
There where we go.
Keep going. Yep. And then I did not want to exclude the amazing things that we're doing around the arts, and so we captured some pictures with that as well. If you keep going forward.
Keep going forward.
Yeah. Sorry.
If Liz, she'll let you take us through, Meredith.
All right. Thank you. And then one more. Yeah. And maybe one more even after that. There we go. So we've talked about what it is, why it's important, how we see it enacted right now in our school district, and then where we continue to grow. So I just showcased some amazing opportunities, but we want that to permeate to all classrooms. We want students to feel engaged in their day and not just a passive recipient of content, which can happen. I talk to my own children who are in a different district, and sometimes it feels like school is something that's happening to them as opposed to something that they're actively engaged in. And they like getting good grades and all of that, but really I want them to love learning and to not only learn for the sake of the test on Friday, but I want them to really be able to connect that to their lives. So this year we have 4 administrators that spent a couple days this summer is part of a deeper learning cohort, and that will continue to meet throughout the year. And then in both buildings, Ruby and Christine are engaging their curriculum team leaders, so lead teachers, instructional coaches, and department chairs in a book study. And it's called the Shift to Student-Led. Bless you.
Thank you.
Sorry.
And it's some shifts and some strategies that teachers can take to make to create more student-driven or student-led experiences in their classrooms. And then we're going to continue to train our curriculum team leaders on the 4 shifts that I just talked about. And really, as the year goes on, engage with those groups to ask them, how can we bring this to teachers over the next couple of years, and what's the logical way to do that? And we want to continue to strengthen the learning experiences. So this year, we're taking on writing at the elementary level and making sure that it's more authentic. And we'll continue to dive deep into the Building Thinking Classrooms work, and our new middle school math program, Illustrative Math, helps answer some of that. And then the high school is also looking at building thinking classrooms in math. And then continuing to leverage our Civics Day and look at student showcases and the opportunity to connect with industry and showcase our student work. So that's kind of the 30,000-foot view of deeper learning, but I'd love to answer any questions if you have any.
Does anyone have any questions?
Oh, it sounds amazing, though.
Yes, it does sound amazing. I look forward to hearing updates about some of the exciting things they're working on throughout the year. So thank you very much for presenting. And that brings us to the Triple E update.
Triple E update. So not a lot of new information here besides that Carver still has a high risk level for Triple E. But I didn't know if people were aware there's actually a Mass.gov, sort of like the COVID website, maintains a Triple E website with risk maps. And this is updated every Friday. So on Fridays is when they make the decision of what your rating is for the next week. So I did want people to be aware that your rating could change. My history tells me here in Carver that we've gone through this before, and most times the rating doesn't change. So once you're in the high risk category, you kind of stay there until the first hard freeze. Hopefully that doesn't happen. Hopefully as we go week to week, it could be changed and it could be updated. So this is as of last Friday, September 6th. They said they actually updated today, September 9th. Updated as of today. So we are still, the three communities around us are in the high risk category: Middleborough, Carver, and Plymouth. Then we're surrounded by a group that's moderate. There is a group out in Western Mass that's critical. We haven't reached a critical level yet. If we reach the critical level, I don't think that's going to change our position on anything. It's going to be the same thing in terms of maintaining that ban on outdoor activities from dusk to dawn. So this is for Tripoli. They also maintain the same risk map for West Nile. So for West Nile, you can also see that Southeastern Mass in general is in the moderate area. Carver is in moderate. We're not in the high area for West Nile, so our focus has been Tripoli. But they do update this website regularly. I thought it was just Fridays, but obviously they did it today as well. So this information can change, but ultimately, as I said, I feel like we're probably going to stay at that high level and maintain our restrictions in terms of any activities from dusk to dawn going forward. Certainly the days are getting shorter. I think it said some sunset tonight was sometime between 7 and 7:05. So we're really our restriction. We're asking people to end up by 6:45 now, and as each week we go along, that's going to move closer. So we've maintained hope. So we haven't rescheduled the events for October yet. So we've really started with our September events in terms of rescheduling. But I think that we'll see where that goes. Certainly for Friday night football games, I don't know in October if we'll be able to have Friday games. Though we had a great turnout this past Friday for a 4 o'clock game in the afternoon. I think playing Wareham as well helped because they brought a good crowd. But I think our next home game is in October, I believe, and at that point I think we'd have to start at 3 o'clock to finish up, which I don't know if we'll do a 3 o'clock afternoon start for a high school football game. Probably end up moving to Saturday for our games going forward. But those decisions haven't been finalized because we're watching this week to week. I just want to know the community that this exists out there, so you can go in mass.gov and bring it to this website, and you can stay regularly updated on where we are as a state. As you can see, obviously, in terms of Tripoli, it really is Southeastern Mass where the focus is. There's a lot of places in the state that are in the blue, which is good. So obviously, if we're playing, we play a lot of teams down the Cape. So a lot of the teams that we play have not enacted those restrictions, so our athletes are still able to play night games in other communities. But Middleborough and Plymouth have the same restrictions that we have currently. And actually, a couple of these other towns, I know New Bedford does. I know a couple of towns down the moderate level have enacted similar restrictions. So we'll see how that goes. So any questions in terms of where we stand for Tripoli?
Nope, just come on, Frost.
Yeah, and then obviously, obviously, if our status change, unlike COVID, I don't plan on bringing this back to each meeting. But if our status does change, certainly we'll let the community know. If we're able to remove those restrictions.
That would be wonderful. Thank you. And it looks like we have a full calendar, which is of upcoming events, which is great.
Upcoming events, there's a lot of great stuff going on. So I'll highlight a couple things on here, but not necessarily go through everything. But I'll take a second to put it up for people to see, for people on Area 58 to watch. They can take a look as well.
So one thing on the events, October 20th is a Sunday. It has a school committee meeting on there.
So it's probably the 21st.
Yep. Well, I only know because it's cheer comp. And I'll be in Rhode Island.
But since you picked that area, so the homecoming football game is still scheduled for Friday the 18th at 7 o'clock.
Okay.
My assumption is, unless things change with Tripoli, that game will get moved. So that's why on this count I said 18th, 19th.
Yeah.
Most likely we get moved to a Saturday morning game for the homecoming football game with the homecoming dance that night on the 19th.
Perfect.
So we do have Boosterthon coming up, October 2nd. So the Boosterthon kickoff. So the fun run is on the 11th. So those events, we have crazy as that sounds, we have parent-teacher conferences coming up in middle high school in October. We'll already be at that point. And we do have anti-bullying presentations from Mark planned for the elementary school in October. I know I'm kind of jumping around here a little bit.
Okay.
First DEI meeting is scheduled for October 1st at 6 o'clock at Central Office, so that's coming up. So we're starting to get into some of our regular things that are happening. September 27th, both the juniors and seniors are going on a field trip. So juniors and seniors will be out of the building. So the seniors will be in duck boats in Boston, and the juniors will be for their traditional trip up to Salem. And the senior dinner dance is historically the night before on Thursday, the 26th, as kind of a kickoff for our seniors. So there's a lot of things on here, a lot of great events coming up over the next 6 weeks.
That's good.
That is great. Can't believe open house is this week. I don't know where
Yeah.
the time is going.
It goes quick. The open house is tomorrow,
yeah.
is Wednesday night
Yep.
at the middle high school.
Oh my goodness. Okay. Thank you very much for that update. Greatly appreciate that. Hopefully the community will continue to show up and attend events. I heard there was an amazing crowd at the football game, so great to hear that. So that brings us to recommendations from the superintendent and a financial update by Ron.
And so Ron's going to do the first two items here, the financial update and the student activities
Okay.
account review, and I'll talk a little bit about the audit and the disposition of materials.
Perfect.
Folks.
Hello.
So your financial memo this month is really light. It's early in the season, early in your school year, so there's not a whole lot of activity. And up through the 15th of September, we're still working with town to close out the books for the previous fiscal year anyway. So no real activity on Beacon Hill, no activity really in Washington to speak of in terms of education. If you take a look at your quarter one warrants, in white are the new warrants. I tried a different format this year. Again, I'm always trying to think about like best way to be super transparent with everyone's money. So what I've done this year is you'll see in gray the warrants you've already approved, and what we'll do is just add to that throughout the year. So at a glance, you'll be able to see all the warrants for the fiscal year, right, roughly.
Great. Thank you.
But you got those three there, one for payroll, two for expenses, and I'm happy to answer any questions you've got. Otherwise, I would just ask the committee to vote to approve the warrants.
Okay. Let's see. I move to approve the FY25 first quarter warrants as presented tonight.
I second.
There's a motion and a second. Is there any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Thank
Very
you.
good. Thanks. And the only other item I've got for you today is just your annual approval of your student activities accounts. You've got a memo there. I won't read it all to you, but I'll give you just a couple of quick highlights to refresh your memory. Your student activities accounts are ultimately funds that are student funds. And the intention back when this was first developed by the legislature was that this is an opportunity for students to develop some like financial acumen, right? To like have a small amount of money that they can manage. It's their money, they manage it, and the advisor just helps advise them, help guide it, you know? And we think that's a helpful component of the educational process in the Commonwealth, so it's ultimately established in Mass General Law. What we do each year for best practice is that the committee is able to take a look at those accounts. You've got them attached there. There's no new accounts this year. They're all the same ones as last year. But it's helpful just to be aware of the student activity accounts that exist in your schools. We have them for every different club and activity you can think of. The graduating classes all have their own. At the elementary school, it's organized by grade versus graduating class, things like that. Anytime that students are collecting money for big events, field trips, swag for their activity. Those monies come in. Ultimately, they're processed by one of the advisors at either the middle high school or the elementary school, and then students have access essentially to a checkbook for those. And it helps them learn how to track funds, how to maintain and balance a checkbook, and how to sort of be the financial coordinators of a small organization. Little organizations, but the fundamentals are very much the same. You'll notice we've got about 128 student activity accounts in middle high school. Again, a side note, we maintain anything with money in it. So there are some that haven't been used in a while, but we keep them available for students. And then far fewer at the elementary school for obvious reasons. I'll answer any questions you've got, but the recommendation tonight is simply to approve the existing FY25 student activity accounts. And if in the future we need to add them, typically I come back to the committee and say, hey, here's this new account we're adding, here's the reason why some group is needing a new account, or we create a new group and we add an account with the group.
Okay, great. Thank you.
I move to approve the FY25 student activities accounts as presented.
I second.
We have a motion and a second. Is there any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Thank you very much, Ron. Okay, so that takes us to our FY23 audit review.
Yeah, so we are excited to announce, or pleased to announce, and let the school committee and the school community know that we received the clean audit report with no recommendations for FY23. I'd like to thank Ron and the business office for their exceptional work. you know, you have a hard copy of the report. Each one of the school committees gets one of those for you to review and take home. But ultimately, you know, it just shows what an outstanding job that the finance department's doing in terms of those things we just talked about, being transparent and following through and presenting and making sure that all the money that is allotted to the school district by the town is being spent properly and appropriately in coordination with guidelines and regulations established by the state of Massachusetts. So great job that there were no recommendations. Ron, I don't know if there's anything in particular here you want to highlight or just say or accept the great job with the clean audit report.
Only just to say that it's a sort of team effort. We've got a great team in the business office, our colleagues in special education, transportation, our colleagues at town hall. So we collect a lot of data to put together for the end of year report and those sorts of things. So sort of kudos all around to them.
So we would like to have a motion to accept the audit report by the school committee.
Okay. I move to accept and approve the FY23 audit review completed by Powers and Sullivan.
I second.
We have a motion and a second. Is there any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Thank you very much, Ron. Thank you to your team. Thank you to everyone that put in all of their hard work to get that. It takes a lot of work. So thank you very much, and kudos, everyone. That brings us to disposition of materials.
Yeah, so tonight we propose the school committee approve the disposition of the equipment identified, which is actually our Big Ideas math curriculum. So at the conclusion of the 23-24 school year, the Big Ideas math curriculum has been turned to no longer be needed. We've actually switched to a program called Illustrative. We started using that last year. We actually had a school committee presentation about Illustrative in the fall of last year. So, you know, ultimately, these materials are no longer needed. You know, obviously, if the school committee does approve the disposition of these materials, we'd first attempt to sell them. If we're unable to sell them, we'll attempt to donate them to other schools because there are other schools that are still using Big Ideas math. And if we're unable to sell them or donate them, then we will dispose of them. So just looking for a motion to approve the disposition of those math textbooks.
I move that the items identified this evening for disposition be deemed as surplus.
I second.
We have a motion and a second. Is there any discussion? No. All those in favor?
Aye.
Thank you.
Okay, we got a whole bunch of field trips tonight. And they're all pretty traditional,
standard, yeah.
except for the last one. So I do want to talk a little bit about this new trip to France. This would be an additional Europe trip. So the school committee's already approved, and we've already sold out for a Europe trip that would happen over vacation.
Yeah.
And actually, the next 2 years, the school committee's already
Yeah.
approved, and those two trips, I don't know if 2 years are sold out. I know this one in FY25 is sold out. They're booked, fully booked. And the one in 26, they're working on. I can't say that it's sold out. But our French teacher, Deb Keevy, was just really excited. She went to France this summer and came back and said, I want to give students this opportunity for a trip to France. So she's proposing a trip that would go from June 29th to July 7th. Now, this would be a little bit different trip. So Deb's one, she actually wants to take on the planning of it. She doesn't want to go through an Explorica or an EF Tours or a tour company. She's going to work with a travel agent.
Yeah.
And her idea, her thought process is she actually wants to, through like a Vibro or an Airbnb, you can rent a chalet or a castle. So she wants to rent the castle.
Does she need a chaperone?
Seriously.
I'm in.
And so it's a couple things here. You know, this trip has to have 16 students. Because that's the price point. So the price point's an estimate of between $3,800 and $4,200, which is a little expensive. It would be 3 nights in Paris in a hotel, and then several nights in the chateau outside of Paris. So it's, I think, total 8-day trip. But if we don't, the school committee needs to be aware that if there's 13 paying members,
It doesn't go.
the trip's not going to go
Okay.
because that's going to drastically change the price point. because you're not going through, obviously one of the benefits of going through one of those tour companies is they generally have like a minimum of 10, but then after that, they're gonna they can make it work
What was the price point again?
between $38 and $4,200.
Yeah.
So the other thing that I want to mention to the committee is that, obviously I don't want to create competition to our other trips. And, as a school and as a community, we can only run so many trips that cost that amount of money, in terms of students being able to financially afford them. So I had a conversation with Deb Keevy about this, and she was very open to the concept of, like I said, I don't think this can be a yearly trip. Because I think it would be directly in competition with the current Europe trips we already run. But in my mind, the thought process is, this year's trip's already booked, right?
Yeah.
And it's already full.
So for April, the April trip's booked, we already were sold out, right?
Yep.
So we'll put this trip out to people in June, and if new families want to do it, I don't want to see, one of the other criteria is the 16 paying participants can't drop the other Europe trip.
Right.
Okay. Yeah.
Most of them probably wouldn't anyhow, because they're probably too far along
Yeah.
in terms of their payments, that they would, unless they took trip insurance, it'd be some sort of financial loss for them. But we don't want people dropping that trip to join this trip. So we're really looking for 16 new participants. Or if a family happens to want to do both and pay for both, certainly they can certainly do that. Not going to block that from happening. But we don't want people dropping from the one trip to go to the other. So I just wanted to mention those things to the school committee when you go to approve this trip, because it's a little bit different. There's a couple caveats here in terms of, we need the 16 paying 16 paying members, and we're gonna have to cut there too, because you can't go beyond 20.
Okay.
Right, because she's going to rent the chateau, it only has so many bedrooms.
Yep.
It's not like, going through a company where you can say, oh, we'll just add on another hotel room.
Right.
We're not going to have the ability to just add on another hotel room. Really we're looking 16 to 20 people with 3 to 4 chaperones.
This looks fantastic.
Nice.
So I just want to talk about that one a little bit. Like I said, the rest are generally pretty standard trips that we do every year. So a motion and vote is required. School, your choice, whether you want to take them individually, you can bundle them all together. You can separate the French trip if you want.
Yeah.
So take,
Yep.
so you can make the appropriate motion based on how you want to approach it. Little conversation that maybe taking the French trip separate.
Yep.
I like that idea.
Yeah, do that separately.
Okay, any questions about the French trip or any of the other trips?
Nope, that's actually how my trip was my senior year. Was the same type of setup. My teacher and her husband put together a trip for anyone that wanted to go, but it was mainly the French club that did that, over and above the annual regular trip to Europe that the school did. Much bigger district, but
The
it
other
was
thing
great.
we did discuss, so I want to mention this as well, is let's say we get to 12 students or 13 students, there was a discussion about opening it up to staff members who wanted to pay. So the chaperones are included in the price of the trip. That is a standard approach that the district has taken. Certainly, if you're going to be one of the 3 chaperones on this trip, you're taking on a lot of responsibility, especially not going through a travel company or a tour company. They're going to work through a travel agent, but not a tour company. That is a really high level of responsibility in terms of going to Europe. But there was some discussion of, because there's a couple of people that said, I'd love to go on that trip, that we might find some staff members. Again, we had a conversation there about, certainly I would never want to run a trip where there's more adults than kids.
Right.
Yeah.
Right, so, we're not going to say 7 students and 13 adults. I think the caveat, the other caveat would be if we got close, if we're at 14 students or 13 students, would we open it up to a couple faculty members or family members? Certainly, that's the other option is we could have parents who say, I want to go on that trip with my child. So we would certainly open that up, but the goal would be to get 16 students. And then if we fall short of that, opening it up to some other adults with a reasonable understanding that we're certainly not going to have a trip that has more adults than kids on.
Okay.
Thank you for adding that caveat.
Yes.
Yep.
Appreciate that. So would someone like to make a motion?
Yes, do you want to just do each one individually, or would that be easier?
I think we
Or
can
can we bundle?
The other ones are all
We could start with the
annual?
France and
You
then
can bundle
Yeah,
those.
let's start with
Start
France,
with the
bundle
France.
it.
Okay. All right, so I move that we approve the Students to France June, July 2025 field trip.
A second?
We have a motion and a second. Is there any further discussion other than who wants to go on the trip? Because I'm thinking, most of us would anyway. All those in favor?
Aye.
Okay.
Thank you, and thank you to Madame Kiwi for being willing to do that. I know it's always wonderful when you have someone that speaks the language and is, has those connections to our students. I mean, I know I had a fantastic time. So I'm looking forward to hearing more about it. Hopefully it will be able to go, and maybe they can come share the experience, or Mrs. Kiwi can come report.
Yeah. And the turnaround on this trip's going to be quick, so obviously we wanted to get it on the agenda today.
Yeah, absolutely.
She's going to
Absolutely,
start
yeah.
promoting it to students tomorrow
Yep.
Great.
with a hope of, an initial $500 deposit soon,
Yeah.
by the end of the month.
Okay.
So
That's
I think
coming
we'll
up
know,
quick.
I think we'll know
Yeah,
by
yeah.
October if this trip's going to go
Excellent.
forward.
All right, good.
Great.
And then I move to approve all the other field trips aside from France.
I
He's trying to
second.
say,
You should,
you
yeah,
obviously-
should probably list them.
Okay, I move that we approve the grade 7 to 8 to Six Flags in October trip, the grade 8 to New York City in December 2024, the chorus grade 6 and 7 to Six Flags May 2025, and chorus grades 8 through 12 to Six Flags May 2025.
I second.
We have a motion and a second. Is there any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Thank you to all of those teachers and advisors who are willing to take our students out into the great wide yonder and have some great experiences. Okay, so that brings us to reports from the school committee. So I'm not sure if anyone had any chance to do any research on, let's see, appointment of subcommittee alternates or school committee goals. They're certainly not things that we need to decide tonight. We do have a meeting on the 30th of September,
We
correct?
do, yep.
Yeah.
So I was wondering if we wanted to, if the committee was interested in having a short retreat to discuss these more in depth potentially between now and then. So we could really go through what we want to accomplish over this next year and really tie it to the educational blueprint. So I wasn't sure how everyone felt about that.
Sure.
It depends when it would be. Like, my weekends are completely booked for the next 5 weeks.
We could certainly do something during the week. Wouldn't
I
necessarily
think it'd
have
be
to
a few
weekend,
hours. We
right?
could it'd almost be like an additional meeting. That's
Yeah.
my
Yeah,
thought.
that's fine.
Yeah, like I can do any night of the week. I just, Saturdays and Sundays are booked solid for
Okay.
me for the next.
I hope with all good stuff.
Part-time jobs.
All
Tuition
right.
money.
I hear you.
I fully understand that, Katie. Having a college freshman now.
So as we get into this discussion, one thing, procedural thing I was going to notify you about afterwards, just to throw it out, but
Yes.
since it's going to tie into this discussion, there's been a discussion about possibly having a joint meeting between the select board, the school committee, and the finance committee to do like an initial review of a revenue forecast for this upcoming fiscal year. And the select board was considering next Tuesday, the 17th. That's not official yet,
Okay.
so I was just gonna mention it afterwards and say, hey, would you be available on the 17th? So I guess, hey, would you be available on the 17th? And then the second part of it, if we're gonna pick a night, we can't pick the 17th, I don't have to do our meeting, we can't do the
Okay.
17th.
Do
So I
you
don't,
have any idea what time that's going to
it
be?
had, and so because
Okay.
I have not heard, I did speak to the town administrator today. He told me that if he had an answer prior to our meeting, he would reach out to me. He has not, so I don't know. Well, my assumption would be, this is an assumption, that it would be the same time as the select board meeting usually is, which I think is
7, right?
6.
I think they do say.
6 of, yeah, I think they've changed it to 6 as well, I think.
Okay. Because I was just thinking, gee, could we,
I think it might be hard to double it up, but
Yeah, depending upon
because
how
I feel
long
like
it's gonna
that discussion, if it happens, may end up being more lengthy than we anticipate.
Okay.
I don't know if it'll be a quick, maybe it will be, I don't really, honestly, I don't know exactly what to expect
Yeah.
Yep.
for that discussion.
Okay.
So I want to at least reserve the 17th.
Okay.
Can everyone do the 17th if that's?
I can
Is
do
it-
the 17th.
Have they done that in the past?
They have not, so this would be new.
Is this because of the new town administrator, you think? They have a new approach? to
I think,
finance?
from my understanding, it's the select board or
is
that
it
it's
a-
interested in this.
Okay.
So the select board is interested in,
I didn't know
not the
if
town,
they- if they knew
not
that
that the
there
town
was some
administrator is not interested in it. I'm just saying
Storm clouds rolling in.
that I think the thought process is that, last year's budget season was a little up and down. There was some, the numbers were changing, there was some concerns about that. So I think the thought process is, let's start early,
Yeah.
let's put some numbers out, let's have some discussion, knowing that it's going to be really early. So there's going to be a little bit of a caveat's my word tonight. There's going to be a little bit of caveat of thought process of, it's September. Sometimes it's hard to come up with a great revenue forecast in September because things change. But at least starting that discussion and then having the three boards, the select board, the school committee, and the finance committee on board in terms of process. What's our goals, what's our timelines in terms of when we're gonna accomplish things, in terms of even, preparing a capital budget and being ready to have a town budget. So I think it's just to foster communication between the boards. I think that's the intent. Ron, I don't know if you have anything else on that? No.
Okay.
Ben, certainly I will let you know if the decision is to go forward with that meeting.
Okay.
Because that hasn't been finalized.
Okay.
Can everybody do the 23rd?
Of September, let me see. I can do the 23rd.
And then we have a,
Chris, that would mean we have a meeting every week this month.
It would be, yes.
no, we don't have one on the 16th,
Right.
right?
Well, we might
no,
have one on the 17th. We might have one on the 17th.
Yeah,
Yeah,
so I'm
we'd
just
have
thinking
one
we
every
have
week.
one every week.
I can do the 23rd.
I can do the 23rd, I
can do
guess.
it. My classes are all online this semester, so I'm good any night.
Okay.
So we'll do,
Bill, are you available the 23rd?
I am, yes.
Okay.
Yeah, I can do the 23rd.
Does
Monday.
everyone want to do 6 o'clock?
6 is fine.
Does that work for everybody?
Putting it in my phone now, so I don't
Okay.
forget this time.
Okay, that's okay. Life happens. Life is busy. It's okay. All right, so we will, everyone will just keep a note for the 17th. You'll let us know when you hear of a time for that date.
And if it's happening, because like I
Yep.
said, it hasn't been confirmed that meeting is going to happen on the 17th.
Okay, so we will have our retreat on the 24th.
24th or the 23rd?
23rd, I apologize. I wrote the 23rd, but I said the 24th for some reason, so, yes, so on September 23rd, and what I will do is I will gather some information, other districts' goals, our blueprint, their blueprint, so everyone can see how other districts put their goals together, and then we can talk about how we want to move forward with that, and if we want to move forward with alternates for any of our subcommittees.
Okay, perfect.
So that leaves the appointment of the MASC delegate for the MASC-MASS Joint Conference in November from the 6th to the 9th down in Hyannis. So I know we talked about it briefly last time. I think Jackie's planning on attending. I will be there.
This is November, right?
Correct. November 6th to the 9th. And the delegate assembly is on Friday, November 8th. So that's the date that we would need someone to participate in that meeting
You're
to
gonna be
represent
there
our
the whole time,
district.
right?
I will be there the entire time.
Okay.
Yes.
Well, that Matt makes it easy.
And then I nominate you.
Okay.
So yeah, so we need a voting
Well,
delegate,
yeah,
and then we
well-
need an alternate in case something happens. And
Okay. I move that we appoint Stephanie Clardy as the MASC voting delegate and Jackie Lake as the MASC voting alternate to the annual business meeting in November.
I second.
we have a motion and a second. Is there any discussion? Okay, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Are you okay with
Great.
that?
I'm fine.
I knew
Did
that
last
you,
year.
I knew you were going to be there, so
Great.
I don't know if I'll be able to make it, but
Okay, so since we're in reports from the school committee, and that's the last item on the agenda, does anyone have anything they'd like to share? Okay.
No?
I will quickly just say, I hope everyone is settling into a rhythm. I know lots of changes and transitions have been happening over the last few weeks, and there's more to come. I just want to say thank you to all of our staff, our bus drivers, our custodians, our lunchroom monitors, our educational support professionals, everyone for giving their all every day to Carver students, and to the community for showing us support. So again, visit our website, follow us on social media. There's a lot of great things happening in our district, and our students and families would love to have more of the community show their support. So with that, if anyone would like to make a motion to adjourn, now is the time to do so.
I move that we adjourn the September 9th, 2024 open session of the school committee meeting.
I second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Is there any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay, 7:11 PM. Carver School Committee has come to an end. Thank you, everyone.